going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in again. I'm coming at you today with a top 10 reasons why you don't want to be a car hauler, or I guess the top 10 things that suck about being a car hauler. But first, before we get started, please smash that like button to help me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe to the channel so that way you guys get alerted every time I post a video. Also hit the little bell so you also get the alert. And lastly, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think I should change. The only way I can make this channel better is if I hear from you guys on what you don't like about it. So please feel free to tell me what you don't like. But first, and this is in no order, but I guess first thing that sucks about hauling cars is the weather. And I would say flatbed probably has flatbed, step deck, low boys, all that kind of stuff probably has the same sort of issues, but the weather sucks and you don't get to choose what you're loading and unloading in. It can be 95 degrees, 100% humidity, and you're dying of heat. Or it's snowing, sleeting, raining, your decks are freezing over. So it can be cold. It can just be you have a couple weeks of every time you get out of the truck to load or unload, it is pouring on you. But really, the weather does kind of suck in an industry like this because it's not just the loading and unloading part that keeps you out in the weather. You can spend 4, 5, 6 hours at some of these auctions and plants and rail yards. You can spend 4, 5, 6 hours out there finding your cars and getting them over to your trailer. So that also leads into number 2 reason why you don't want to haul cars is the walking. If you are not in, I wouldn't say you have to be in perfect shape, but you have to be in somewhat of a decent shape. You can't be morbidly obese because you have to walk. A lot of times I usually average when I'm loading and unloading at auctions or at manufacturing plants about 5 to 7 miles of walking every single day. And actually for me, I'm trying to get back into a better shape, so I've been jogging to get all my cars. But yeah, the walking can be pretty bad. There are times at some of these plants, and I don't want to name any specifically, but I know there's one plant that where you park, you could have the better part of a mile walk just to get to a car. If all your cars are on one side of the plant and you have to walk all the way to the far other side to get to one of your cars, it can easily be a mile-long walk. So that does suck. So get yourself a good pair of hiking boots, or for me, I like running shoes. They tend to have real good cushion, and it makes it easier when you're on your feet all day long. The other one is the hard work. This is not a job for the lazy. If you don't like getting out of the truck and busting your butt and you want to mosey about and do your job, look, this is not a job for you. You need to be at a hustle at all times. And I'm not saying work fast, but because if you're trying to work fast and work faster than you should be, you'll damage stuff, and that will just either get you fired or you're not going to make anything out here. But you have to work hard. There's no breaks. There's no sitting in a car, giving yourself 10 minutes to cool off. You are in and out of either a car that is 0 degrees inside because it's freezing cold outside, or it's 120 degrees outside. Some of these plants have rules that state, you can only roll down the driver's side window. So by the time you get the thing driven back over to the truck, you're in 85, 90 degree heat, and the car's 120, 130 degrees inside. So when you get in the car, you actually get hotter. It's easier walking around than it is to be sitting in some of these cars. So yeah, this is hard work. You're going to be climbing around up and down the side of the trailer. If you're in a quick loader, it's a little bit less work, but still, sorry, checking my mirrors. But still, it is not an easy job. This is something where you need to expect to work hard. Let's go on to what would that be? Number 4. And like I said, these are in no specific order, but dealerships. A lot of times these dealerships suck. And it's not that they all try to be, but a lot of these places, you've got a few different ways that they can suck. You got dealerships that took no consideration into what it takes to get a truck in and out of a dealership, and they park cars all over the place, or whoever planned the dealership out, the layout, never planned to have tractor trailers with 9, 10, or 11 car loads pulling in and out of their dealerships. And it's not as bad if you pull in and you unload, you're completely unloaded, so you can try to back out and turn and you can see. But if you're only dropping 2 cars off the back of your trailer, you got to be careful when you're pulling around a dealership or you're backing out of a dealership to make sure you don't pinch your cars on the back of your head rack into the cars on the front of your trailer. So that's one of the ways they suck. Another one is a lot of them have zero consideration for us, the truck driver out here. Now, I will say there's a lot of us that give them grief, so it's not, you can't put it completely on the dealership. But there's a lot of dealerships that you pull in, you're dropping 1 or 2 cars off, and you have a busy day of 5, 6, 7 stops to get unloaded for that day, and the dealership's like, well, we'll be out there in a minute. 20 minutes later, they're still not out there. 30 minutes later, they're still not out there. 40 minutes later, they're still not out there. Now you're getting frustrated because they're cutting into your 14-hour clock. Or the one that happens a lot is they're just rude. Just rude to you, but then again, like I said, you can't put that completely on the dealerships because there's a lot of drivers out here that are absolute, I can't say that word on YouTube, but buttheads. They're rude to the dealerships, and look, when the dealerships start getting a chip on their shoulder because they're dealing with rude truck drivers, they're just rude to you up front. So even when they're rude, man, just put a smile on your face and try to just let it slide. You don't know what kind of day that person's been in, and I try my hardest never to be rude to dealerships. Always try to be professional out here, and if you own your own company, it helps out tremendously. And if you work for a company, look, you're never going to have a dealership complain that you were too nice. So the next one, which is probably my biggest pet peeve, is auctions. I don't know why, but it seems like auctions find a way to always put the sold cars in the furthest most point from where you park your truck that they possibly can. And I have spent it many times, 8 hours at an auction pulling 9 cars. Some of these auctions you go to, it's mind-boggling. I do, even though now I drive for somebody, I do pay out of my pocket to have my cars pulled still to today. Because it is a lot easier for me to pull in, have 9 cars sitting out in the truck lot waiting for me, or I let them know a half hour before I get there, so they're planning on literally pulling my 9 cars out immediately as soon as I get there. It is a lot easier to do it that way, spend between 50 and $100 out of your own money to pull in. 45 minutes later, you're loaded, back on the road, instead of wasting an entire day or half a day pulling your cars. Just get a car puller. It is amazing once you get used to doing it, how easy it makes it. But still, auctions are a nightmare. You never have the right paperwork. You never have enough paperwork, because this isn't the right piece of paper, or that's not the right piece of paper, or we didn't need all these, so you got 1,000 extra pieces of paper. Auctions are a pain. Always have been very difficult to inspect the vehicles, because a lot of times, well, all the time, they're used vehicles. So a lot of times there's a lot of scratches and dents, and all of a sudden your inspection write-up takes you 10 minutes per car because there's so much stuff on it. It kills your day. So yeah, auctions are, for me, are probably my least, or probably the thing that I hate the most about hauling cars. But what comes in a really, really, really close second is blown hydraulic hoses. They are horrible, because one, they never seem to blow in good weather. It is always downpouring, it is always snowing, or it is always 150 degrees outside. It is always the worst time possible that you want to deal with a blown hose, that you end up having to deal with a blown hose. And if you own your own company, you know as well as I do, you try to bring a spare hose or two, you try to bring splice kits, but that, once it happens, that is a job to get that taken care of. Some of these trailers, especially the ones built from like the early 2000s to like 2010, 11, 12, they like to tuck the hoses inside the rails. So now when you get a blown hose and you're going to replace it, you got to figure out a way to slide that hose out of the rail and get the other hose back inside the rail. Pain in the butt. If you've never had to deal with one, or you're a company driver and they're good at just getting someone out there to fix it for you so you don't have to deal with it, you are lucky, because I have spent hundreds of hours fixing blown hoses over the years. The next one, I already did a vlog on this before, but graphite your trailer. It's not that that's an actual hard job or pain in the butt, it's just dirty. It is a job that, man, you get the graphite on your pants, on your clothes, on your shoes, on your hands. If you're got a beard like me, every now and then you get something that drips in your beard. It is a nightmare for having to do the trailers. Quick loaders and those kind of trailers, much easier. Trailer like I'm in now, a high rail where every single deck slides, every single deck goes up and down. You got a lot of graphiting to do. And the hardest ones to do are actually the sliding decks, the ones that go in and out. Because you slide it one way, you get half of it. Slide it the other way, you get half of it. And there's always the middle 2 or 3 feet of that deck that you can't get graphite on either side. So for me, I usually try to keep a couple cans of spray graphite, and then I try to do my sliding decks about once a week. And that's much easier. Just grab one of those cans, spray every one of your decks down. The sliding in and out decks, not the uprights. You can do those every couple months by hand. But the sliding ones, it is just so much easier. Get a couple cans of the graphite spray and just touch them up constantly. Just figure once a week, takes you 20, 30 minutes, slide them all out one direction, spray them all, slide them all the other direction, spray them all, you're done. Once a week, it really keeps up with them and really helps out. But graphiting sucks on these trailers. The next reason why you don't want to be a car hauler is having to work on this equipment. These trucks, just like cars and pickup trucks and SUVs, they're difficult to work on to begin with. Now put a car hauler around it, where everything was tight place to get in and out of before, the little spots that you had that you could slide your arms in and out of, or your head here, or slide your back in over here, is now taken up by some piece of a head rack or a trailer. Because look, they got to get them on the truck somehow, and it seems like every opening you had to work on something is now taken up by a rail or a deck. Some way to connect it to the frame of the truck. So yeah, working on these things suck, and car carriers are great at braking, especially cracking. I've always said car haulers are like a grenade. You never know when they're going to blow up on you. Because, look, they have to build these trailers, and you can fault the company all you want, but they have to build these trailers to be able to haul 9, 10, or 11 cars. Well, if they built them strong enough to last a long time, we wouldn't be able to haul but 5 or 6 cars because they'd be too heavy. Or when they build them light enough to haul 10 or 11 cars, because as you guys all know, vehicles do nothing but get heavier over time. Like that Altima or Maxima that just passed me, you go 10 years ago, that was a 34 or probably a 27, 2,800 pound car. Now it's a 34 to 3,900 pound car. So yeah, they have to keep getting lighter and lighter on these trailers, which means that they break and crack and stretch, and they have stress fractures all the time now. They're just, they can't build them strong because we can't make any money hauling 5-car loads. These next two, really, I just kind of threw in there because I wanted to do a top 10. And I couldn't think of anything else I hated about car hauling. So, the next one, number 8, is going to be combinations. Learning your combinations of cars. Really, you have to memorize pretty much every car that is built. If you are a truck driver here in the United States, or Canada, or probably Mexico too, I don't know much about Mexico trucking, but at least Canada and the United States, you have to have every single car and every single car brand, every SUV, every truck. You have to know every single one of them, know the weights, and know where you can put them. Because sometimes